All right, so other than itself, which angle is congruent to angle 2? Let's look at where angle 2 is. I'm going to use the highlighter. Angle 2 is right here. This is angle 2. What other angle is congruent to angle 2? The only angle that we know for sure that is congruent to 2 is going to be this one, 4. The reason why we know 4 is going to be congruent is because 4 is actually across from it. It's a vertical angle. We know that these angles are congruent. Now, some of you may say, well, isn't 6 also congruent? And if this angle were to be, if this side, this line would be parallel to this side, this line, if these two lines were to be parallel, then yes, 2 is congruent to 6. But in this case, we do not know that if they're parallel or not. And actually, I can see that they're kind of not parallel because eventually they'll touch at one point. Also, same thing with these lines. They're going to touch at one point, so they're not parallel. So the only other angle except itself that's congruent to angle 2 is going to be, in this case, 4. So the answer is going to be 4. Next question. It says, which angles are complementary to angle 3? Select all that apply. Complementary means they have to add up to be a 90-degree angle. Now we know that this angle is 90 degree. Angle 1 is 90 degree. We know that this is a straight line. So that means that this angle right here is also a 90-degree angle since that's a straight line. And we also know that 4 is a 90-degree angle. And finally, and most importantly, we know that angle 2 plus 3 is going to be a 90-degree angle. This angle right here is a 90-degree angle. Now, the important part to know about this says which angles are complementary to 3. So the only angle that's complementary means that if you add an angle, let's call this angle A, plus another angle, let's call that angle B, they have to equal to 90. So we already know that we have an angle 3 plus what other angle would make our angle 90? And we know that 3 is this angle right there. Let me change the color. This is angle 3. What other angle can we add to be so that this could be a 90-degree angle? And obviously it's going to be 2. So angle 2 will also add it. So 2 plus 3 will make it complementary. So angle 2 is the answer in this case. Another question. Which angles are adjacent to each other? Adjacent means they're side by side. So which angle is side by side to each other? In this case, let's look at the options first. GBH. So GBH, GBH, and AEB, AEB. Are these two angles adjacent from each other? Adjacent means they're side by side. They're touching. In this case, this is not the answer because they're not side by side. They're not touching. HBE, let me change the color. HBE, HBE, and AEB, AEB. These angles are not adjacent. They're not on the same line. They're not touching one another. So this is not an adjacent angle. CED, let me erase these so we don't get that confused. Let's see, CED, CED, that angle, and DEA, DEA. See how these angles are side by side one another? Then that means that they're adjacent. They're side by side. So this is an answer. And let's check the last one. Maybe this one could also be an answer. It says DEA. Let me erase this. DEA, which is here, and FBG. FBG. They're not adjacent. They're not right beside each other. We don't know if this is a parallel. So a parallel line. So we cannot conclude anything. So the only answer in this case is going to be this.